Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Cuz You Don't Know Football. As you guys can see, I'm a little bit incognito right now. You see, because I'm in a different place right now. But I want to tell you guys a little story. I had a conversation at a bar in Harlem, and me and this gentleman, we started talking. We just started talking about football, and he said, "You gotta put me on the show." So, guys, he said, I had to show him that, cuz you don't know football either. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my boy Austin right here. Austin, how you doing?
Thank you, brother. Happy to be here, man. Happy to be here.
We're happy to have you, man. I tell you what, man. We told you guys in season three that everything's expanded, more guests, more everybody. So this guy right here, used to play at. But tell me where you played. Now let me talk. Let me let you talk for a second. Tell him where
Well,
you.
I played football in high school. Played football. Pops played football for the Packers as well, and I played at a little bit of JUCO ball as well, quarterback. And then, then decided this weird thing to become an actor. Strange little jump from there, but yeah, man. Played football in high school. Did really well here. A lot of my boys went D1. Guy went to UCLA. Had boys like a UCLA. Boys went to the Navy, Army, USC, all over the country. So played with some of the best talent, and they're still my brothers to this day. So, and then learned a little bit in that, and then here I am.
That's all right, because I feel like the Packers just released a actor anyway from their team.
Aaron Rodgers is already at Madison Square Garden, man. He's got an apartment in Midtown. I'm like, you have to go to East Rutherford, brother. That's an hour and a half of traffic.
Understand? Listen, you know that Harlem traffic, you know that New York traffic, bro.
He's not getting. He's gonna show up late.
Whatever. But so once again, guys, this is another one who had a problem when I talked about the contracts and the quarterbacks and who should get paid. So let's get right back into it. Lamar Jackson. Tell them your stance on Lamar and him getting paid.
Oh man, I saw Lamar in Louisville when he came out, and I was telling my pops, my pops were talking about this, and I was like, I'm not sure, I'm not sure. I'm like, why? This man's track record, he's been disrespected ever since he was in college. College, he can't throw, he can't throw. Heisman, putting up crazy numbers, leading that Louisville program, who was nothing before he got there, leading Heisman, seeing some of the stuff, and I'm like sitting there watching. I look at him, I'm like, no one's doing what this cat's doing. So when the draft comes, wide receiver disrespected again, combine disrespected, right? Keeps on going at it. Draft day comes, 32nd overall, disrespected again. And he comes out and becomes the youngest NFL MVP of all time. One of the greatest seasons we've ever seen of all time. The greatest scene. The biggest highlight of the past 5 years has been that spin move against the Bengals. Been replayed over and over and over again. And I'm looking at this guy. I told everybody from the beginning, he's a good passer. He's smart. He had one of the highest Wonderlic tests in the combine. People are telling, oh, the way he talks, he's brilliant, right? He goes in, wins the youngest MVP, leads them to a 14-2 season, right? And by the way, that MVP season, Hollywood Brown was his best receiver. Hollywood Brown, that's his number one target, right? The whole
That's
time.
true. That's a fact.
Then he did that with Hollywood Brown, putting up those kind of numbers. He throws the ball 7.5 per attempt. And with rushing, 6 yards, 6.5 yards per rush. You have a combination of both of those. When have we seen that? We haven't. Youngest quarterback to ever reach 5,000 rushing yards or 3,000 rushing yards. 3,000. Uh, it's insane. It's insane. And when the time comes, he gets injured, he gets banged up a little bit. People
Mm-hmm.
are saying, see, injuries, the way he plays. No, no. Both those injuries that he had were inside the pocket. It wasn't him running. He's not a Josh Allen. He's a smart runner. Smart runner too. So he has a couple of injuries. So when pay time comes, I was wondering why would anybody not want to pay this man? Pay him out. Perfect amount of money. He deserved every dollar of it. Every single dollar.
Okay, so
That's my take.
here's my fear when you pay a quarterback.
Hmm.
This is what I know happens when you pay, and I'm not saying he's a good quarterback. I'm saying he is better than good. But what I'm saying is when you pay a good quarterback great money, you tie up your whole cap, and now you can't surround him with what is necessary for you to win and go deep in the playoffs and potentially win a Super Bowl. So more times than not, there's quarterbacks that are getting great contracts, that are really just good and they need more help. For
Yeah.
instance, like a Matthew Stafford. That's a very good
Mhm.
example. Actually, a lot of quarterbacks. Oh, Jameis Winston got big money before. Marcus Mariota got good money, got great money before. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And now more currently, when you look at somebody like Dak Prescott,
Mhm.
he's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
He's going to end up needing more than what they can pay for. So
Yeah.
here's my hesitation on paying Lamar outright. The back staff, like the back from like the GM and stuff like that, they're not. I don't think they're prepared to pay him great money. And I say it because when he was on a rookie deal and when he wasn't getting paid so much, and now you can really put a team together, they couldn't do it when he wasn't getting paid a lot. So now you're going to pay him the most amount of money, and now so what do you think is going to happen? The reason why I think Lamar should get the money, one, you talked about his demeanor. I actually love Lamar Jackson's demeanor. I don't think I think he is the definition of what cool is to me. And cool is when you just are cool, but you're not trying to be. He's not a
Mhm.
person. He's not a person that seeks attention. He's not a person that wants the spotlight. He doesn't act bad. He doesn't even he doesn't want the spotlight. He'd rather give it to his teammates. And I
You
love
never
that.
see him at the clubs. You never see him at the
Never,
clubs. You never
never.
see TMZ. You never see anything like that. And his teammates love him. Every single person.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, but the other reason why I think he should get the money is because the culture. Now, I think that is the one thing that I might sacrifice a Super Bowl for a strong culture. I think if you had to have one or the other, and you just weren't going to have a Super Bowl, but your culture was strong, and it's something that the world's going to remember 30 years from now. Then I
Mhm.
think that is something that you can pay for, and I think he's the kind of player that can do that. So what I'm saying is, I'm kind of here and here with that contract. I want him to now be able to pick up something that I watched him not be able to pick up and take, which is
Mhm.
take. Now he's got to take exactly what he didn't have or the holes in the roster and say, now I'm going to go to the AFC Championship game a lot. And now I'm going to go to the Super Bowl with this contract. That's all I really want to see. You see what I'm
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Yeah, those big contracts with these quarterbacks can be deadly. I mean, we saw it with Aaron too. With his last couple of years with the Packers, can't really get those big time receivers to come there, even though they're not searching them with them in free agency. But with Lamar, that's just a guy you got to go all in on. And like you said, the culture but I think you can do both culture and Super Bowl. When you have that, then you create a legacy. With a guy like that, in a day and age in football right now, where the quarterback is as valuable as he's ever been, and there's not a lot of them coming around anymore. And you're scared because it's just you look at all these guys who come and bust, 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 and you look at everyone in the league. It's such full of talent. The quarterbacks here are insane, inventive, fun. And if you have a guy like Lamar Jackson, not only just for what he's going to offer you in the locker room, what his production on the field, but people tune in to Ravens games just to watch that man doing something
saying?
spectacular.
That's why I do say that. However, I do think there is. I know he's in a past MVP. I know he's won the MVP. I think there's a level that he can get to in the pocket
Yeah,
that pays dividends for this.
yeah.
Um,
You can see his progression. You can.
absolutely, absolutely, and I think he can. All I'm saying is now we're having a conversation of what he has to carry when he couldn't do it when he wasn't
Yeah,
getting paid. Now he has to, except now he's just getting paid.
yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
OBJ. You got OBJ that can help a load a little bit. You got
We'll
Odell Beckham.
see. We'll see. Can I say
Yeah,
something? And I never said this, and I never said this out loud. Warren Sapp did an interview a couple years ago. I think it was with like Vlad TV or something like
mhm.
that. And he was talking about when OBJ was at his peak. He said he's not a Hall of Fame player. He said what makes him a Hall of Fame player because everybody was like his first like 3 years. Oh my God, it was amazing. But you know what? That what he said, it wasn't so crazy. It wasn't so crazy now. So when he said OBJ, I think he's good. I still have to see where that is. I want to see where he is.
It's just injuries with him. It's just injuries. Not to get into, but a lot of injuries plagued that man's career. and he was such a great route runner. Seeing him the way he gets separation from the DBs and just throw him anywhere you can catch it. He was like what is he 5'10", 5'11", but he would catch a ball with these guys like he was 6'5". It was crazy, He's hops. But I just if he stays healthy, I think he could make a pretty good impact. He's not going to be like one of these big time receivers out here. I think he'll be if they keep him as a slot guy, you know, slot guy, and maybe go out maybe out at wide every once in a while and stuff. I think then you can add that little bit of spark in that offense too.
So let me ask you a question. This is a question for you. In terms of paying for your quarterbacks, what is the line to which you say this quarterback gets top money as opposed to this quarterback does not get top money? Because now we're talking about how you construct your roster and what you can't pay for. So at what point do you say, all right, I'll give him that much of the cap, and when you don't?
Got that fan base has to be behind him. Fan base has to be behind him. I would do fan base. Got to throw a big. I know better. Could be without being said, but you got to throw a good deep ball. Got to have that touch. That's just such a big time thing in today's game. That play action deep ball. Got to be able to throw a deep ball. And accuracy. That completion percentage has to be above 63, 64. You got to be able to go drive down the field. You have to. You got to get them in the end zone. And when you're dealing with accuracy issues, like with Jameis Winston and stuff like that, he had a hell of an arm. He can make all the throws, but accuracy, choice, decision making, it's hard. Yeah, decision making. Yeah, and that just kills all momentum. I'd probably put decision making up at number one. If you're out there and you're going on a really big drive, and then you're in the red zone, and you throw this crazy pass you're like, what in the hell was he thinking? That just deflates the offense. It deflates the defense. Deflates everybody. So those would probably be one of the reasons why to give him big money. And if he's a leader, if he's a leader and he keeps his head down, he's not making big splashes in the media. That's not what quarterbacks do. Quarterbacks you don't do that. You're leading the entire organization that's relying on your back. You're getting paid the most amount of money. You got to keep your head down. I don't want to see my quarterback in the club popping champagne bottles. No, I'll let my receivers, running backs, DB, everybody else, O linemen, everybody else can be popping champagne. I don't care. But quarterback, you can go home. Go home.
I actually said that about 2 episodes ago where I was talking about quarterbacks, and that's exactly what I said. I think quarterback. I like a quarterback to be closer to uncool than cool.
Boring.
I want him to be a nerd. I want him to be like
Andrew Luck.
I don't like. So yes, Andrew Luck would be a great. He was into building bridges. Nothing cool about architecture and things of this nature.
He had that book club. He's trying to get his teammates to join that book club that he had.
You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying. So for me, I don't like quarterbacks that are very show-offy. I don't like quarterbacks that are like, look at me. Because I need a quarterback that translates into, this film study this is kind of my life,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's cool. That's dope. So okay, so moving on. So another controversial piece that we were talking about now. DeAndre Hopkins. What I want to know is, would you pay him? And where do you think he should go? And would you pay him?
D-Hop is a guy that is unbelievable talent. He is unbelievable. There's no denying that. And I think he's just so unbelievable. He's just been stuck in the worst situations when it comes to quarterbacks. Right as he got there in Arizona, Houston, come on, no one. And then, Deshaun Watson later on, but then he goes to Arizona. Then Kyler Murray decides to tank, and he hasn't had that elite passer to really get him there to that next level to show what he could truly do because he's truly unbelievable. He helps everybody on the field too. If you put DeAndre Hopkins out there, it makes everyone else get open. But with this contract now, with that being said, sing the man's praises.
Yeah. Now we get
I read that he wants $26 million annually. 26. He's 31 years old, right? And what's that contract going to be? What's it saying, like 4 years, 5-year contract, something like that?
I don't think it's a 5. I think it's like a 4 year.
4 year. Okay, 4 years. So he'll be 35 at that point, right? And
Coming
we
off a couple of years of injuries
yeah.
now at this point.
And we see the decline in receivers go like this pretty much. It's not as bad as running backs, but it's hard. It's hard. It's hard on their bodies. I don't see if me as a GM and me as a coach doing that unless I have a Super Bowl roster ready to go and we're missing that piece. I look at the Lions. I think they can get to that point of being a Super Bowl contender if they add him on. But it's just he's in such a tough position with his age and his history of injuries, and I'm not sure because that is so much money. That is so much money to put on a guy that's going to be 35 years old by the end of his contract. You know,
You
it's
know,
just
have you ever? I actually, when you were talking, it actually just clicked. Something just dawned on me. Have you ever seen a wide receiver that started to be on a decline and then had a resurgent season?
I can't name one. I can't.
The
I
only okay, I can think of one that when it happened, we were like, okay, this looks bad, and then he gets traded, and then he resurged after being one of the elite wide receivers. That's Randy Moss. When he was
oh
with
yeah
Oakland, when he
yeah
was with Oakland, that looked bad. You know what I mean? It
yeah
didn't look good no more. And then he goes to New England, and you know what I mean.
yeah. I can see that.
But then once again, once he hit a real decline, I didn't see that. But I've never seen a wide receiver, rebound and now catch something that they couldn't, that they stopped having the
Yeah.
ability to do. And that's my fear. So like, so to answer your question, so like, would you pay him first?
I it's so hard. It depends on what team I'm at. If I can't, if I have a team that is eyes on the Super Bowl and you know that you're gonna make the playoffs, but you need that one piece to go to the Super Bowl, then yes, I'd pay him. Super Bowl matters. Money doesn't matter when it comes to the Super Bowl. You can't be start thinking you want to win now. You got to win now. That's what the Buccaneers did with Brady. That's what they did. They got Gronk. Brady said, "We don't care. We're gonna win. We want to win now." And but if not, no, I couldn't do that. I can't spend that much cash on a guy that's 31 and has a history of injuries. Even though I think he's unbelievable talent, I don't think I could. No, so like I would say probably 90% probably no. I couldn't do that. That's just so much money. Your cap space is going to be ruined. It's hard.
Yeah. You know what? Now that you actually inspire, I'm blurring this background now. Now you just gonna see. You know what? I'm not hiding now, guys.
There we go.
Here now.
You got nice pictures in the background. There we go.
I started thinking about. I said, Austin's looks better than mine. And I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie to you. Right? You might just be because you a star. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So like,
Oh,
if something was going on back, I said this looks better than what I got going on right now. So
walking around, man, can't evade the spotlight.
I'm.
One movie, man. I'll be working at Dunkin' here pretty soon on the 125th.
Right. Oh, not that one. No, they don't know anything about that. Listen, this world does not know about 125th, man. That's a crazy street, boy. The whole way over east to west. That's a crazy street.
I love Harlem. Love it.
But yeah, like, bro, I couldn't have said it any better myself. I would not pay him right now.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you get it,
I
right?
would not pay him.
It's hard.
He's got injuries, but I also am a person. So last season, I talked about what my Super Bowl winning attributes are for a team. And actually, to win a Super Bowl, I don't want a wide receiver that's a top 5 wide receiver.
Oh, really?
I'm serious. Sounds crazy, right? I wouldn't want it. One, because it's too many targets going over there, and the defense knows how to watch it. I'd rather be able to hit you here, keep the defense off instead of saying take him away, and that's how you beat them. I would prefer that. And also, all the money that goes into that position, the thing about wide receiver, yes, they're amazing. They talk, they're the most athletic. I get it. They can jump high. They can catch one-handed. I get it. The problem with the wide receiver position is it's reliant on the quarterback to do what they have to do. It's relying on the offensive line to do what it has to do. Sometimes if the offensive line isn't good, now it's relying on the running back to do what it has to do and go off for play action and stuff like that. The point that I'm making is you need other things are more important for a play to go than wide receiver. So I'm not a person that feels as though wide receiver is a big investment for me. I think you have to have a number 1 wide receiver. I think he has to be good. I don't think he has to be great. And I think if you look at Super Bowl champions, more times than not, those Super Bowl champions don't have a top 5 wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look into. But I think you and a lot of GMs and coaches think the same thing. Because if you look at people who are actually pursuing wide receivers heavy in the offseason or want trading and stuff like that, the majority of the time, from what I've seen, it comes from the quarterback's mouth saying the quarterback out of all, I want that. And they have to appease the quarterback. I'm not sure if it's the GM and the coach's effort really thinking that we need that, you know? Because look at the Packers, you know? I mean, even though I think we should have gotten a good wide receiver a long time ago, but I don't think I think you're right. I don't think it's on the coaches' minds as well. I don't think they think they need it, you know. And if you look at it, you know, you don't need it because look at Patrick Mahomes. They just won the Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill. Shipped him off.
Well, listen. I've been on record saying that was for me. That was the greatest quarterback season we've ever seen. Last year, that was outrageous. That wasn't supposed to happen. That was not supposed to happen. So, but yes, very good analogy. His number one option was Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't think Juju Smith-Schuster would have been in the NFL last year if it wasn't for him being right there.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's what that is. But yeah, when you look at all those Patriots teams, nothing. When you look at the Seahawks when they won, nothing.
True.
When the Broncos won, I think that's debatable, but I think that's because Demaryius Thomas at the time, I'm not sure if you saw him as a top 5 like wide receiver like that.
Debatable. Yeah, debatable.
But honestly, and this is real. I only can remember. Let's see. I can tell you the top 5 wide receivers. I'm about to go in my bag. I can tell you the top 5 wide receivers or wide receivers that were top 5 at the time when they won the Super Bowl. You got Jerry Rice.
Mm-hmm.
You got Lynn Swan.
Okay.
That's back there.
That's
back there. You got Michael Irvin.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how you feel about this, when the Colts won the Super Bowl in 2007, if you feel as though Marvin Harrison was a top 5 wide receiver at the time.
Yeah. It's all debatable though, but there's not a clear one that you can be like, oh, he was the top dog. You know, like even
right, that's not clear debatable. Oh, yeah. and also Cooper Kupp is kind of debatable.
That guy, you know, he was elite at that time. Man,
I was one of those. I said, I think there's a lot of hype going for somebody. I'm saying that we've seen what he does. We've seen that before.
Yeah, true.
And I didn't like. And in retrospect, like looking at it now, he's not been able to repeat that year in, year out. So the best analogy I can name is Drew Brees made it routine to throw for 5,000 yards in the season. But I mean, Dan Marino was the first person to throw for 5,000 yards. Now, the reason why Drew Brees is Drew Brees is because he made it like, oh yeah, we just throw for 5,000 yards now.
Yeah.
When Marino did, they was like, this is impossible. Everybody else is throwing for like 2,500, 3,000 yards. He's throwing for 5,000. How do you do that? Like, how do you do that? You know, so I'll give Drew Brees that. So Cooper Kupp, we've seen it when it comes to Julian Edelman, Wes Welker. We've seen what that is. And in retrospect, I haven't seen him do it again and again and again and again. That's really my problem with Cooper Kupp. So I think that's debatable.
Yeah, I think so too. It does boil down to having a strong core group of receivers that you can have these options and these outlets and a good tight end. And you don't really need someone out there that's completely just number 1 overall. You can see him and everyone says, oh, it's scary and stuff like that. But I think you have a good receiving core, someone to take the pressure off your number 1 receiver and have a good core around you. I think that's key. That's key. So yeah, we'll see where he lands. I see the Patriots are really keen on him, but I'm not sure about that. You know,
when it comes to the Patriots, listen, the Patriots are done, bro. I'm sorry to say it. The Patriots, they're not let me just tell you, when I was growing up, bro, I'm the biggest. I don't like the Patriots person.
Yeah.
Okay? So just keep that in mind. So keep that in retrospect in terms of what you're going to say. I think it's shown that somewhere in the middle of Tom Brady's career, he showed that from that point on, the Patriots are able to sustain this because they have maybe the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
they're right now. Last year they had a defensive coordinator as their offensive coordinator. I think Bill Belichick is like he's not understanding he can't do anything and just make anything work. You know,
No.
I feel as though he's used to that, and that day has come and gone. And while
Yeah.
he thinks that, it's what it's like. They're like the Patriots are the worst team in there. They're going to finish in the last place in the division this year.
We'll see, but I do agree with that.
All right, so hold on, Austin. So you telling me they got Buffalo, they got the Dolphins, and they got now the Jets.
I can't I can't consciously you know how ingrained in my brain seeing Bill Belichick time after time after time in the Super Bowl. Oh my gosh, it's like he just did this to me, and I'm like, why would I ever bet against Bill Belichick?
It
Never.
goes hand in hand.
Now I feel like he's gonna come out of nowhere and like pop in the Zoom chat. I'd be like, really? I'm like, oh, sorry, coach. You go about your day. I didn't need it. I didn't.
Really? That's how you
Yeah,
feel?
really. No, like, no, coach. So now I'm just starting to have the confidence to start looking at his organization, the Patriots in a more even light. But yeah, mentioning that, I just think, yeah, it's just when you have a quarterback like that, like Tom Brady, even it would be for it doesn't matter if you're the greatest coach of all time. It don't matter. You're gonna get spoiled. You get spoiled because you have him, and you don't have to really worry about that. You don't really have to worry about that position for so many years, and then once that's gone, you got to train little Mac Jones for to the new rookie quarterback. That's hard to develop. A quarterback is a hard work, and you get spoiled for a while, and you just kind of lose sight of what the other league, what other teams in the league have to deal with. You know, is going through quarterback after quarterback after quarterback.
I'm gonna tell you, bringing this out of me. Now I got something I gotta say. I have something I have to say. I think Andy Reid is a better coach than Bill Belichick.
Okay.
Listen. So I think I'm so on. It was Tom Brady and all of those things that I'm not gonna go into like all this little quick about what I feel about what the Patriots did because I think it's a little what I feel is a little disrespectful in my opinion. But when the league favored what Bill Belichick's strengths were, Andy Reid still, when you remember he was with Philly first. So even with the Eagles, they ran the NFC East. You know what I mean? The NFC East hasn't even had a repeat champion since Andy Reid left.
Yeah.
Okay. So he ran the NFC East. I mean, 10 years he went to 5 NFC championship games and won Super Bowl. So it like that's a Hall of Fame resume and something that you can put up on it. Now the league favors Andy Reid and what he can do more. Yeah. And Bill Belichick can't do he looks terrible. He looks awful. So that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying Andy Reid fits better even in the era when Bill Belichick can do what he can do. And when you put Bill Belichick in the era where Andy Reid can do what he can do, it looks bad. So I actually think that now.
But so we're talking about Tom Brady, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and Bill Belichick, relying heavy on that, that aspect. Andy Reid got handed, obviously they did their scouting, a guy who might be the greatest quarterback of all time in Patrick Mahomes. That helps out.
That's just the last 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
Just the last 4 or 5 years.
That's true. I don't look at his Eagles resume as sharply as I should. And I do need to go back and look at his resume a bit more and have a refresher, but it's a lot, man. You have Patrick Mahomes, he's transforming. He transformed the entire game. Unbelievable talent. One of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life, besides Aaron Rodgers play. You have that helps you out tremendously as a thing. But then again, he drafted him, right? So it's one of those things. And what he brought out of Alex Smith too was pretty amazing.
That's what I was about.
What he brought out of him.
Alex Smith was a bust before.
Yes.
So let me change that. So when he went to San Fran and he was there for a couple of years, he wasn't good. So then he had like a year and a half where he was like, all right, he's good. They went to the NFC Championship game and everything like that.
Harbaugh, yeah.
So yes, but then he looked at it. So he went from a bust to someone with a ceiling, and then he goes to Kansas City, and now he looks amazing again with Andy Reid. So now you got so basically what I'm saying is you got Donovan McNabb, a resurrection of Michael Vick's career, in which even Michael Vick says he was a better passer in Philly than he was in Atlanta. So you got Donovan
Yeah.
McNabb, the resurrection of Michael Vick, and also you have Alex Smith, and that's before he got Patrick Mahomes.
Yep. I can see that. I mean, if I'm a 27-year-old quarterback and I haven't hit or like a 25-year-old quarterback, 26-year-old quarterback, and I haven't hit my ceiling yet, but I see some promise, and there's an application for Kansas City for a quarterback job, I'm submitting my application for that because I know I'm going to have one of the best bosses. Yeah, because I know I'm going to have one of the best bosses in the league. And he is inventive and he's fun, a lot of fun. But the Bill Belichick thing, let's wait, let's get another ring, then we can start. Then I would start having that conversation. I would start having that conversation. But interesting points. It's more of like this is not like a undisputed. It's like pardon the interruption we got going here. Okay,
so,
there's that.
So I did not think he was better than Bill Belichick until he got Patrick Mahomes, and when he gets arguably the best quarterback of all time, now all of a sudden you realize that Patrick Mahomes has never played in a season in which he didn't at least go to the AFC Championship game.
It's crazy.
He's never not been in the AFC Championship game. So at the end of the day, is this year? Are they not going to be back in it? Like when is it? When does that run out? Because I don't know.
Remember a couple of years ago when he was struggling like a little bit, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's washed up, one hit." I'm like, "What is wrong with you guys?" Like I saw that was true. Has Patrick Mahomes lost his spark, and that was like he was still not doing terrible. He wasn't doing like as perfect as he was doing the year before. And then he comes back and ends up throwing like 45 touchdowns that year, and I'm like, "What is wrong with you guys? What is wrong with you guys?"
Yeah, nothing big. Just 45 touchdowns.
Yeah, just 45, like it's nothing. Oh man. Crazy. That guy is amazing.
Absolutely.
Him and Josh Allen have changed the game a lot. Unbelievable.
I think that's interesting because I think it's more Joe Burrow than Josh Allen, but
really, he's a Central Valley boy. I can't fight against him. He's from where I'm from, so I can't. I'm with him all the way, 100%.
Joe Burrow might be the person I was the most wrong about when they got drafted.
Really? You didn't like him in college?
It's not that I didn't like him. It's not that I didn't like him. It's this is my problem. So I have to adapt, and then we're going to move on to our next segment. But yeah. I have to adapt to what's going on now in college football because now players are actually getting paid to be in college. So there's an incentivized reason for a top quarterback or a quarterback to go to a big name school. Because when I was growing up, all of the best quarterbacks went to schools that were not top schools. Yeah. So my thought process in that is when these players, so like these quarterbacks that went to like Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, Florida State, Texas, all of them, there were none. There were no quarterbacks that were great that went to those schools. My thought process is when on a week-to-week basis, they what they had to throw to was better than the opposing team's cornerbacks. Not only that, their offensive line was better than the opposing team's defensive line. Opposingly, the opposing team's offensive line was worse than his team's defensive line. And his corners usually were better than the wide receivers. It might have been one, but they were better than that. So my thought is these quarterbacks that went to these worse schools were having to go against teams like that, except they had to work on so much. They had a worse offensive line. They had a worse receiving core. They knew they had to put up a lot of points because so what they had to work on all these little things. So my thought is always when a quarterback goes to a big school, they're going to be a bust. And I can name you a lot of names of quarterbacks that were highly touted coming out from a big name school that were a bust. Mm-hmm. So he went to LSU. It's and arguably that LSU team was arguably the greatest college football team of all time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So usually that does not translate to the NFL because you're never going to have that. You
Yeah, you
never
got that.
you never have something so overwhelmingly talented that an NFL team can't do anything with it. Even the undefeated Patriots lost to a team that when we look at the Giants, they weren't terribly overly talented
Hmm.
in terms of retrospect of where they were in the league. But when you looked at the team that said they said this is the greatest team ever, they still were able to be beaten.
Yep.
Great team in college is not able to be beaten.
No. Yeah.
So that's why I said Joe. I didn't think Joe Burrow was going to be good, but
Good point. It's a good point.
I was wrong.
Those, yeah, those big schools do scare me as well when it comes to putting out quarterbacks. When it comes to like look at Matt Leinart, Vince Young, Jamarcus, all these big time schools and all these quarterbacks that flopped. We have Patrick Mahomes coming out of Texas Tech. You have Lamar coming out of Louisville. You have all these quarterbacks that are coming out of colleges that are not completely just that's why when these
Josh Allen
Alabama,
from Wyoming.
yeah, and these Alabama quarterbacks that are getting drafted, I'm like,
I didn't think any of them was going to be good. Now I have to see. This is what I'm saying. So now Bryce Young, I got to look at him a little differently
different. Yeah, I can see that.
because
Yep.
because in my head I'm like, oh, he's going to be a bust with Alabama.
Yeah.
He had too much talent. You
Yeah.
know, so in retrospect, I think CJ Stroud's going to be a bust though. I do.
Oh, I do think so too. I do think so too. Yeah.
I think he might have thrown to like 3 Hall of Famers at the same time.
We'll see what happens. Only time can tell, man. Only time can
Okay,
tell.
Austin, you came with some heat. Talk about one thing I'm curious about now. So, like at the beginning, when we started the season, we talked a lot about the draft. We talked a lot about the players, the rookies. We talked a lot about the contracts in terms of all season. I want to
Mhm.
move into the team now and see we start the talk of where we're going to start going and stuff like that, and who's going to be good. But I'm very curious. How would you structure a team? What positions are you saying this has to get paid for? And what positions are you saying, all right, if you don't have a really good this position, then if that's not highly paid for, then that's okay. But
Sure.
this is what has to be there, this is what has not to be there. So go ahead. So first
So
the position you gotta have paid for.
yeah, you gotta have paid for it. Your left tackle, your O line, your left tackle, and your quarterback. Two things. Gotta get the man that can open up the gaps, run block and pass block. The big men up front, pay them out. Pay them out. Pay out the quarterback, good quarterback, franchise quarterback. We see him. You need one to win a Super Bowl. You have the two exceptions of Trent Dilfer and like a couple others, and like maybe Nick Foles not being elite, and you have a few others thrown in there. Need elite quarterback, need the elite left tackle, and on the defensive side, I would have to say, of course, D end pass rusher and a really locked down DB. Gotta have that, in my opinion. Got someone that can protect the pass game and someone that can, blow up the run and get to the quarterback as well. So those are the two I think on offense and on defense that you have to have in order to have a successful team. Now, the least positions I would say that people tend to overspend on that we talked about earlier was the wide receiver. Wide receivers get paid a lot. Love
So
my
you're
receiver.
saying your own record saying you do not have to have a top paid wide receiver.
Yes, I do agree with that. But I play quarterback, I have to take my mind away from being a quarterback because if I'm a quarterback on a team, I'm saying pay that man because I want him to throw him the ball. I'm saying pay him if I'm a quarterback. But now I'm a spectator of the game and I look at it and I gotta say you can't overspend on the receiver. Just can't do it. Can't overspend on a running back. A good running back, mid-range will send you a long ways. You have a good guy who can get you 1,000 yards a season. That's good. 1,000 yards a season, and he can catch out of the backfield, dump it off to him, and you can go. That's what you need in order to have a Super Bowl winning team. The receiver, if you have a good core group of receivers, we see what can happen. What happened with the Patriots? What happened with the Chiefs? A good core receiving group of people who are veterans who know what they're doing, and stuff like that. Besides the case of Jamar Chase, which I think he was going to be an elite receiver with Joe Burrow, and I think they have a chance to win the Super Bowl. But shelling out a lot of money on them, I'm not sure. But obviously, you have the obvious choices as like a punter, and like I love my kickers get disrespected time and time again. I'm not trying to disrespect any kind of kicker out there who's pursuing that. They're important. They're important to the game. but they're not my top priority. A good kicker. Everyone shits on that too until they need them for that 55-yard field goal to win them an NFC Championship, and then you start saying, "Oh wait, we actually need one of these,"
Uh-huh.
and then. But you'll find them in the fourth, fifth round, sixth round. They're gonna be there, and you'll get one. But that's what I would say. Offensive lineman, left tackle, quarterback on the offensive side, pay them out, and then a DB and a DN, pay them out too. Give them their money, and then the overpays wide receiver. And on the defensive end, I'd probably say the safeties. Can't shell out a lot of money on a safety. If you have a good solid safety, then you're good. You're good as well.
Once again, so when I was growing up, like I grew up in the safety era. So Troy Polamalu, every, you know what I mean? Like these play like a good team was like I have to
Yeah.
be like New England, like the teams that were giving them trouble was a team like New England. I mean like Baltimore, who had a safety that could deal with them. Also when you talk about like Bob Sanders with my Colts and everything like that. Actually, ironically, I'm gonna say a little soliloquy, then I'll get back to it. The thing that I hate about my Colts this year is that we've paid position. We have top money in positions that don't matter. So, for instance, we have the top paid left guard, and I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? That's not the same thing as the top paid left tackle. So our guard position, we're very strong at guard, but so what? You know what I mean? We have we have a very highly paid linebacker crew. So we have the top paid linebacker. And I'm like, that doesn't matter. You didn't even say linebacker with it. So more specifically, like I wouldn't pay a guard, and that's just me. A center, I would pay more than a guard, but a guard, I think you can get by. You just got to figure it out. I think that's a position where if it just gets figured out for like about a good 2 months, you'd be like, okay, you know, even if it was bad all year. I think I wouldn't pay that. I would not pay. I would not pay wide receivers. I think wide receiver is. I'm curious to see how the league changes and where I'll be wrong with that. But right now, I'm saying you don't need to pay your wide receiver. I would. I would. We'll see. But culture is one thing. That's the best argument. But that's what it is. Linebackers, I personally would not pay linebackers. Any of them. You know, that's what it is.
The only the only reason why I would pay a linebacker is because when I play an intimidating Mike linebacker, you look in the eye, you call him out, and he has this look in his eyes like a psycho. I'd be like, "Don't tackle me." And sometimes I'd escape out of the pocket earlier. Maybe that's just because I wasn't that great of a quarterback. But just for them to scare the life out of some quarterbacks, I think it's worthy of the money. Just to scare them, man. So they're scary, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like they're
See
not
him
winning
blitzing
the
up the
Super
middle,
Bowl.
you're like, I know this is gonna hurt. Please don't.
Listen, in terms of top linebackers,
I know, but I'm just talking purely out of
I'm just
quarterbacks.
talking
I
about
look
in terms
at
of
that. I'm
bowl. I'm just talking about in terms of
like,
winning a Super Bowl. When your linebacker
yeah,
group is saying it's strong, you had
yeah.
Baltimore when they had Ray Lewis, and then
I understand. I hear you.
is like they didn't win. So when you talk about Navarro Bowman and what was the other guy that was with him, the other middle linebacker, I can't, Patrick Willis. And Patrick Willis, like, you know what I'm saying? It didn't matter at the end of the day. When you look at, remember with Carolina when they had Thomas Davis and Luke, well, basically what I was just saying in conclusion, that's linebackers crews don't really matter. You know, like so if I had a choice, and I agree with safety, but if I had a choice on not paying a linebacker and not paying a safety and making sure I had corners, or defensive ends or left tackles or quarterback, I absolutely would do that. You know what I mean? That's where I would shift my focus. Okay, Austin. Austin, man,
Absolutely, brother.
Austin, you brought some heat today, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. You brought some heat. I
I'm
know.
trying, man.
I know you're a busy man. You out there. You out there in Cali. You know, being a superstar and everything. So
Can't wait to get back to New York, brother. Can't wait to get back. Can't wait till the season starts, man. It's gonna be great. Can't wait, man. Can't wait.
we got a lot to talk about.
Absolutely.
So Austin, man,
Can't wait. Thanks so much for having me, man.
of course, of course. Everybody, once again, check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. We're expanding. We appreciate everybody. And once again, Austin, we had to just show you too, cuz you don't know football. I thank you, man. I appreciate you coming on. We're gonna talk to you soon, brother.
Talk to you soon.
We're really excited to have you back. All right, man. Take it easy.